He says 300K. Let's make it 500K, right? I just have the hunch that you're maybe being backed by Turning Point USA or their affiliates in this debate request. You don't strike me as someone that has 300K lying around for conversation. That's smoking habit in today's economy.
Candace Owens has finally responded to a public debate challenge, and her demands are even more unreasonable than you expect. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent and nonpartisan commentary and analysis on politics, media, internet culture, and more. A little bit of everything in this one because we're going to be checking in with Candace Owens, the right-wing sort of podcast conspiracy theorist and very popular podcaster, no doubt. She gets huge audiences still, but she has weaved a very elaborate web of conspiracies about the death of her alleged friend, Charlie Kirk, about a year ago, which of course was a horrific incident, but she's blamed it on everyone from Israel to the Trump administration to Egypt to the First Lady of France and beyond. She suggested that Charlie Kirk's widow is in on some kind of cover-up. She has really crafted this very elaborate and incoherent conspiracy that we have cataloged and followed along with here on this channel. But she has only once or twice done any sort of adversarial interview about it, and frankly, it usually doesn't go well for her. But Andrew Wilson, who is himself far right and kind of traditionalist, conservative commentator and debater, whom I'm not a fan of in general, particularly just some of his views and the way he approaches debates. But on this issue, he has called out the conspiracy theories and pushed back on them and debunked Candace Owens quite effectively. And he just did so on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he reiterated that he has actually fundraised and offered her $300,000 to do a debate with him about her theories on the Charlie Kirk case, which seems like a bit of a no-brainer if that's your biggest cause you've dedicated yourself to in your current career. You'd actually think you'd do it for free and you'd hash out and be accountable for your ideas, or you at least would maybe fundraise for charity for the debate or something. But somebody's going to pay you a huge amount of money and all you have to do is substantiate your theories that you've hung your hat in your entire career on. Yeah, you should probably be willing to do that. But she has fired back at Andrew Wilson's challenge with some pretty unreasonable demands, if you ask me. We're going to go through it all. Buckle up and let's watch this clip from Candace Owens' show where she is reacting to Andrew Wilson's challenge to her and then outlining her conditions for this debate. Let's watch.
Candace Owens offered her $300,000 to do a debate. Like, we'll give you $300,000.
What is her position? What does she think happened?
She thinks that Israel worked in conjunction with TPUSA and Erica Kirk to murder Charlie.
Based on what?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Nobody actually knows. She's never presented a single shred of evidence thus far that Israel ever worked to murder Kirk, that Erica Kirk certainly didn't. In fact, her position for the longest time was if Erica Kirk comes out and tells me to stop the conspiracy on this, I will. So Erica did. She went out publicly and she was like, enough. You're just causing more problems than good here as this investigation's going on. And then suddenly Erica's now part of the conspiracy.
Just a quick fact check here. True. This happened where Candace Owens at the beginning of her conspiracy theorizing about Charlie Kirk's death said very much, the only two people could get me to stop, and Erica Kirk was one of them. And then Erica Kirk came out and said, stop, and started rebuffing this, and then suddenly she was implicated in the conspiracies. And she and all the positive things that Candace had said about Erica Kirk, she went back on and changed her tune up. So yes, the goalposts have constantly been shifting from Candace Owens. That is objectively true. Even her fans, if they're being honest, should admit that. Anyway, we'll keep going here, and she gets into some of the specific conditions she's demanding for the debate challenge. Let's watch.
By the next day, she's trying to cover it up. She's part of the conspiracy too. When I went to the TPUSA HQ and I talked to Erica briefly while I was there, the first thing I did was what I think every normal, moral human being would ever do. I gave her a hug. And I told her how god-awful sorry I was that happened to her. Like, can you even imagine how that's got to feel for her? Especially now that she has tens of thousands of people accusing her of murdering and conspiring to murder and then cover.
Guys, like I said, I'm not an Andrew Wilson fan, and in particular, I have seen debates where I really don't like the way he treats the people he's disagreeing with. Very vicious language and ad hominem at times. But on something like this, he is displaying a level of decency and civility. And I don't think there's anything weird or strange that that's how he would interact with Erica Kirk. I'm sure if I met Erica Kirk, I would offer her my condolences as well. Like, I'd feel very bad for her. That'd really be it. That's normal, but she's going to act like that's weird or somehow hypocritical. Anyway, we'll keep going here.
Then cover up what happened to her own. I mean, that's like mind-boggling psychological torture on a level that I've never seen.
Yeah, and hindsight is 20/20, but given the reaction, I think it probably would have been better for her to like lay low for a little while.
1000%.
The going out with the sparklers was not a great idea. Like, all that was not a great idea because it just seemed insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Maybe she should have made some different decisions. I don't think anybody's suggesting she's beyond reproach. Erica Kirk, I agree, the pyrotechnics and a lot of the TPUSA stuff. Again, I'm not a fan of TPUSA. I'm a critic of the organization. I was a critic of Charlie Kirk. I was just horrified by his murder, of course. And I can see good things about his legacy and his work as well. But no one's saying she's beyond reproach. We're just saying, or beyond criticism. But the criticism should be about what she does with Turning Point USA as its CEO. It shouldn't be attacking her personally, digging up ancient things from her personal life and lying about them to falsely accuse her of crimes, as some people have done. I don't know that Candace has done that specifically, but people in her orbit have. And it shouldn't be about like baselessly implicating her in her husband's murder. That's not, in fact, fair game. But criticizing her in general, even Andrew is willing to do that in this clip. He's like, yeah, I agree. She should have laid low. But Candace is about to twist herself in pretzels here. Let's listen.
Thank you, Joe Rogan, for saying that. People were going, yeah, okay. Now I'm interested because first off, I wasn't expecting Andrew Wilson to look like that. I understand, I guess, perhaps could probably guess how you magically fell into money to be running around offering $300K for a conversation. And I also now understand, having looked into it, why Blake Neff and Andrew Colvat seem to be boosting you on X. Now, for everyone who was like me and legitimately did not know who this man was 5 minutes ago.
Since when is Texas a swing state? That's what I've been wondering as I've followed the Senate race between ultra-woke Democrat James Tallarico and the controversial and allegedly corrupt Republican nominee Ken Paxton. According to our channel partners over at Kalshi, the race is a dead heat, with Ken Paxton at a 51.8% chance of prevailing in the election, with James Tallarico at 48%, so nearly 50-50. This is a big deal and says a lot about both the candidates and the broader state of our politics that this is even a competitive race, let alone that we're near 50-50 odds. That's one of the reasons that I follow Politics on Kalshi, the first CFTC-regulated exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. If you want to check it out and potentially place a prediction on who you think will win in November or on any of the other politics markets, just go ahead and sign up for Kalshi, download the app on your phone, or use the link in the pinned comment or description, and use code BRADP when you sign up to get $20 free when you trade $20 now. Just to pause on that, I mean, I think he's saying he could crowdfund it, and I think he probably could. He's a pretty popular debate streamer, and there's massive interest and support for people challenging this subject. And she's like framing it as somehow weird or nefarious that two people affiliated with Turning Point USA, two TPUSA employees, have boosted this guy. Why is that weird? You have a commentator. First off, I mean, they're like slightly connected with him. He's done one freelance debate training gig with Turning Point USA. Like, he went and trained some of their people on how to debate because he is good at that. But regardless, he is effectively challenging lies that people are telling about them. Why wouldn't you boost that? That's not weird. That's not suspicious. Anyway, keep going here.
So Andrew Wilson apparently had a presence in the manosphere debating feminists, and that would explain why he was appearing on the Whatever podcast, which regularly features these sorts of debates. I've been on the Whatever podcast and I've done these debates, so has Charlie Kirk. But now, of course, for, I guess, either the right price or a chance at staying or being in the limelight, he's willing to sort of flip his position and kind of present himself as a feminist right there, tasked with defending Erica Kirk taking over her late husband's company a $250 million organization, while the kids are back home with no parents as she travels the country. Now, he's sympathetic to those positions. I have a counter.
What? But we're about to get into her counteroffer demands, which are crazy. But let's unpack that. Candace just said that because Andrew Wilson is anti-feminist and made a big part of his brand about debating feminists, and I disagree with a lot of the things he says about those issues, but that it's somehow inconsistent that he has defended Erica Kirk. How? If a woman is being wrongly accused of killing her husband, and you challenge that narrative, or you push back on conspiracy theories, how is that feminist? That's not feminist or anti-feminist. I don't think anti-feminists ever said that it's okay to torture and lie about widows. And then, as far as the stuff she highlights, first off, it's not true that Erica Kirk has abandoned her children and they have no parents as she travels the country because she's done a couple travel engagements here or there. You have no idea how much time she's spending with her kids at all. So that's just and frankly, Candace Owens has traveled just as much. And I'm not accusing her of abandoning her kids. I'm sure she's very active in her kid's life, but she's been all the way to Russia and all sorts of places. Like she is also a very busy working woman, and still, I'm sure, manages to be a good and active mother. And I don't think you should just be baselessly implying that Erica Kirk has abandoned her children. But what's funny about this is she's suggesting that Andrew Wilson has somehow gone reverse and become feminist and white knighted for Erica Kirk as CEO of Turning Point and as, a working mom who travels all around the country. I must have missed that part. That's not what he's been talking about. I don't know that he is necessarily supportive of that. He's talking about the Tyler Robinson conspiracy theories and the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories, and he's defending her from that. But that's not feminist or anti-feminist. And disagreeing with your narrative and claims about Erica Kirk doesn't mean he's even defending her being head of Turning Point. It sounded like agreeing with, I don't know what his view on that is, but it sounded like in that Joe Rogan clip, he thought she should have stepped back, not stepped up to lead the company. So it's like we're already just engaged in really tortured mental gymnastics and totally missing the plot point and losing the plot here, Candace. Now, when we get to her demands for this debate to happen, it's really actually remarkable stuff. Let's watch.
A counter offer. He says 300K. Let's make it 500K, right? I just have the hunch, this feeling, gut instinct that you're maybe being backed by Turning Point USA or their affiliates in this debate request. It's just, you don't strike me as someone that has 300K lying around for conversation. I mean, not with that smoking habit in today's economy, right? And
sorry, what? That's insane. He offered her $300,000 to do a debate about the conspiracy theories she's tied her entire career around. She says she cares about nothing more than getting to the truth. And presumably that would include answering questions people have and facing the scrutiny of your theories and your investigation. And she's like demanding almost double. No, she wants $500,000 to do it. What happened to I only care about the truth? You should be offering to do it and saying, no, we'll donate the money to charity. Candace has plenty of money. She makes millions of dollars from her podcast. That's insane. That's diabolical. And that's deeply hypocritical because Candace has long accused others of being, just caring about money. She's talked about this. I don't worship money. I just care about the truth and all sorts of stuff. And here she is saying, no, I want more money to talk about this. I don't want to answer your questions unless you pay me $500,000. That's crazy, by the way, because what she should be saying is, no, let's do this. And we will give this money. We'll fundraise $1 million and we will give it to, I don't know, some Christian charity helping children or something, right? Instead, she's saying, no, I want to stack your coins, get me more money. Like, that's crazy. And honestly, I don't know that she has any evidence for the claim that this money is all secretly from Turning Point USA. I think Andrew's claim, and I don't know if this is true, but again, I actually don't find it implausible, is that he could crowdfund the money that people would donate and support. And so be it. But it is crazy to demand extra money and like that. It's so much money for a couple hours of your time on the subject that you are suggesting is your life's work and you care about more than anything, getting to the truth. Then you should really be willing to do it for free or to at least do it for charity. But no, she wants $500,000. That's crazy, people. That should tell you that it's a grift. I'm sorry. It really should. Anyway, not all of her demands were unreasonable. I think she's going to mention a couple of them here. Let's keep going.
And given the fact that Turning Point USA has raised $40 million in one night off of Charlie's blood, literally encasing his bloody microphone at a fundraiser event so that his grieving widow could be captured by the camera standing next to it, I think $500K feels more appropriate. They want...
I'll pause on that to just say that I don't necessarily agree with the way that they have approached Charlie's death and fundraising and all of that. But it's like, Candace, you have yourself made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars off of lies about his death and the terrorizing his family and his friends and colleagues. So yeah, I mean, you should not be, you're in a glass house throwing stones when it comes to profiting off Charlie Kirk's death. Really. Anyway, keep going.
To invest in you, you're their guy. Tell them that's what it costs. What's $500K between old friends, right? Also, my second counter offer position point that I'd like you to meet is I'm 7 months pregnant. So if you fancy a debate face to face, you're going to have to travel to me. It's common decency. No time.
I think that's fair enough. She's pregnant. I'm sure he's willing to go to Tennessee, I believe is where she lives, and go that. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Keep going.
No time limit in the debates. Don't worry. It will be live. We will bring up any documents or evidence that you mention as a part of this case. We have a team, so you can send links live. We are happy to pause and allow you to search for any evidence that you reference if the team can't find it for some reason. No tricks, as long as you want. Like I said, live, so anybody could see if we were trying to play tricks. As a 2A point here, you're not going to be chain smoking around me, tough guy, okay? So you're just going to...
Wait, excuse me? As a 2A point, as in Second Amendment, you're not going to be chain smoking around me. Is she threatening to shoot him if he smokes near her? That's a little insane and kind of crazy and unhinged and escalatory. To be fair, it is a reasonable request to ask him not to smoke in the room as her, same room as her. She's pregnant, and honestly, just in general. And I actually saw in his statement about this, he says, fine. He'll go smoke outside if there's a break or whatever. He's happy to not smoke during the debate. But why did you have to jump to threatening to shoot him and referencing the Second Amendment rather than just say, hey, as a condition of this debate, given that I'm pregnant, I don't want you to smoke. I don't want secondhand smoke. That'd be perfectly reasonable. But why did she have to go invoke the Second Amendment? I can't be the only one who finds that kind of unhinged. What, Candace? Somebody woke up on the violent side of the bed this morning. Jeez. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so you're just going to have to bring yourself and leave your cigs at home. And this is actually, I would say, the most important part for me. This is what has to happen. Third part here. Either Blake Neff or Andrew Colvett or Erica Kirk must publicly claim you first, meaning they must say that they are sending you in to debate on their behalf regarding the Charlie Kirk case. Okay, no worming away after the fact. They don't get to be, oh, we don't really know this guy, whatever. They're boosting you. You're at the headquarters teaching people how to debate. I got to tell you, from the outside, it kind of looks like Turning Point USA scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for influencers. And they've now arrived at people who are just amoral, who will lie about what people have said and intentionally misrepresent their positions, and who I would say
Candace would never
are not
do that.
omniscient of the honest debate strategy and style that was once employed by their company founder. I mean, Charlie Kirk's brand was clean and respectable.
Now, I will say I cut the clip off there just because we don't need to go through everything. But she then did play a clip of Andrew Wilson berating in very vile and vulgar terms a young woman he was debating who had criticized his wife and his family. And he goes on this vulgar, extremely unhinged rant at her. And then she suggests that he's like, you know, a bad faith debater and a crass and vulgar person. And I that's a fair criticism of him. But he has promised to not do that in this debate. He says he won't engage in ad hominem. And while Candace is more polite, she certainly still has caused people a lot of harm in terms of spreading lies about them and sicking mobs of deranged internet people on them. So I don't really think she is, you know, in the position to be policing everyone else. So the real, I mean, I think the money is diabolical, but it's fair enough that the demanding $500K is crazy, but he says he's willing to do it. Now, the conditions about going to her, doing it live, no time limits, no smoking, aside from the weird threat, All fair enough. And I think he's happy to do that. The third one is where things get a little complicated. Anyway, I'll just read you Andrew Wilson's response that he put on Twitter. My counterback, 500K is fine. I will crowdfund it. $1 million actually, so I get 500K as well. Travel there is fine on neutral ground. Can't be her studio. That's a ridiculous ask. I'll pause on that. I guess that's fair if you want to like rent a studio or have a neutral place. That seems reasonable to me. But I guess if she's going to use that to dodge a debate, I would say he should just go do it in her studio. Who cares? I mean, I agree it's a little unfair, but so be it. Anyway, more here. I suggest Michael Knowles moderate. We probably both trust him. If not, I'm open to somebody else. He says debate has to be 3.5 hours with hour-long cross-examinations. She can go first and examine any views of mine on the Kirk assassination as long as I also get an hour for cross-exam. I understand she is pregnant, so if she needs a break after an hour and have to walk around, that's fine. For $500,000, 3.5 hours is pretty reasonable. I agree with that. Lastly, the only stipulation I can't agree to is the quote, TPUSA has to claim Andrew thing. That is just requesting we both lie. I don't work for TPUSA and never have. I did one contract work. I represent myself. That would be like me asking her to claim she is representing Tyler Robinson. She is representing herself. This all seems reasonable. And if real Candace Owens, her Twitter handle, agrees, I will get to work setting it up. So I agree with Andrew that the last point here is not really reasonable and is likely a poison pill. Candace Owens doesn't want to debate Andrew. She knows he will make her look stupid. She knows that he will ask basic factual questions she can't answer. He will point out the massive holes in her story that she doesn't deal with and that her fans just go along with the ride and munch their popcorn because they view this all as entertainment or drama or something. But like, if this was a criminal case she was arguing, I mean, it would have been dismissed a long time ago. It's just Swiss cheese, the amount of holes in her story and the way that when one thing, like she promised the Egyptian planes were the key to everything, and then she put out a bunch of totally inaccurate data, tracking these planes and a bunch of claims, then promised to update it and just ghosted and moved on to something else and never talked about it again. So it's like if someone actually held her accountable for this stuff, it would all fall apart. And she's probably smart enough to know that, which is why she'll do everything in her power to dodge this debate. And that's why that third stipulation is key. She wants to demand outrageous amounts of money. He can accommodate that. She wants him to not smoke. She wants him to fly to her. He'll accommodate all of that. But she's demanding that Turning Point USA claim him as their agent or something. But it's like, he isn't. He did one contracted training session for them on debate and doesn't work for them and is an employee and doesn't speak for them or represent them in an official capacity. So they can't say that he does when he doesn't. And why are you only willing to engage in a debate and conversation about your career-defining conspiracy theory, or in your case, as you would put it, investigation with an official representative rather than somebody who just represents that side of the argument? It's like Candace Owens isn't a representative of Tyler Robinson, right? She's not part of the defense team officially, but she's clearly trying to clear his name. She's even suggested that she's going to get him acquitted with her proof and evidence and all the stuff she's brought forward. But if he demanded, I won't debate you unless Tyler Robinson claims you as his official representative or something, well, obviously he's not going to do that because she isn't. So to me, the third demand from Candace seems like a poison pill that at first glance sounds kind of reasonable, but is impossible unless, again, they're not going to lie about that. They're not going to hire him as an employee or a spokesperson just so he can do this debate. That's not a thing. So it seems like something that will give her the veneer of being willing to debate, but actually a condition that she knows he can't satisfy. So she'll avoid the scrutiny and the genuine, I think, humiliation that would follow. That's my theory about all this. But you guys can let me know what you think of these demands and whether you'd like to see this debate happen. I know that I would, but let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't yet. Do consider becoming a channel member to support my work. I call it the far left and the far right, which is not the best business model. So I do need support from viewers like you. Hit the join button or click the link in the pinned comment. And with that, guys, we'll leave it there for this one and be back with more real soon.